breakdown of another roadmap. Now usually if you have a look at YouTube, you'll see that everyone is breaking down the mechanics and the reworks and how will that champion behave. That's not what we do here. This is a lore channel, and so we will cover the story and lore of everything that was revealed here. And let me tell you, there is a lot of lore to cover. This entire roadmap revealed 3 new champions and 2 new reworks, and we do have pieces of their story hidden in here. But before we go into that, I quickly want to mention the new teaser that should be revealed at the same time as this video is uploaded. Riot showed us this bird teaser, but because at this point it will be probably revealed, let me just guess that this is probably a teaser for the new Lux comic. Based on the title of the teaser, it should be related to Lux. But the interesting thing is that Demacians never really used birds in their emblems. Eagles in Demacia are quite rare, and Valor is some kind of an exception, because believe it or not, but Demacians mostly use raptors. So the only real reason why this would be connected to Lux would be because we don't know the emblem of the Crown Guard family. So it is possible that the eagle is their family emblem. It would also somewhat fit the emblem that Garen carries in his splash art. I never really noticed it before, but it does look like an eagle. My final note on this is that every time you see wings in Demacia, it is usually angels. The new story of Kayle and Morgana revealed that Demacians always revered the angels. So in the end I am curious as to what that teaser will reveal. But today we are not here because of the teaser, we are here because of the roadmap. So let's get right on it. The first reveal that is not really a reveal because we already knew about the champion is the new support. Now we didn't learn anything new about the champion apart from this single image. Now looking at the image you may notice that it does look like a portal, which is something we predicted. The old teaser really suggested that portals would be involved, so I'm not surprised to see that this is what we got. Now if you zoom in closer you may notice that there is something that looks like a yordle inside. And let's not walk around it, from the first glance it is obvious as to who that is. Alright, so in the old teaser it was revealed that it would be some kind of a furry champion. That's simply because it was using purr puns, so this should be some kind of a cat. Now even though cats would be normally Vastaya, I think that this is going to be a yordle. We know that Bandle City has been waiting for an update for quite a while, so yordle would make sense. The super interesting thing is that you can see that there are 2 ears on that yordle, which means that it will be probably a cat, but then there is a weird dongle between those ears. Now that dongle could be a number of things. First of all, it does look like some kind of a bulb, like, you know, the bulb fish would have. It could also be a staff. If you look at the champion from behind, it could be a cat sitting down on a chair holding a staff. But the most probable outcome is that this is just a tail, you know, because it's a cat. But while everyone is focused on that one character, let me point out that it does not have to be that champion. If this image is showing that the Bandle City is getting an update, this could be just a citizen from Bandle City. This doesn't actually have to be the champion. The last thing I want to point out is that the emblems on the right side are very unique. So this probably reveals one of 2 places. When we don't know what stuff looks like, it's either in Kumungu Jungle or it is Bandle City. And because it looks like a yordle, it is probably going to be from Bandle City. As a reminder, this champion is supposed to be an enchanting support, something like Jenna or Nami. But besides this image, we didn't really learn anything new. Now as we move on, the post mentions that this year we should get more new champion rather than reworks, because last year we got a lot of reworks, and since most of the champions now look fine, we will get more new champions instead. But the next reveal wasn't a new champion, because we are getting a reworked Mordekaiser, as we all know by now. The title of this part is Night Falls Over Death's Realm, which, as many of you may know, is a reference to Mordekaiser's mace, Nightfall. That is actually the name of that hammer. Now when it comes to Mordekaiser, we know that every single ability was either changed or it was updated. So this is gonna be a massive rework. There are 2 interesting things here. Number 1 is that one of the biggest changes done to his kit was his ultimate. They wanted to make something that would truly make his enemies fear and respect Mordekaiser. And they wanted to forward the idea that you can't run away from him or hide from him. This makes me think that Mordekaiser might be immune to CC. It would be really cool if they made Mordekaiser really slow, but he was immune to any kind of ground control. That would really sell the idea of him being unstoppable. But since we are all about lore, we need to talk about the other thing. At the end it says that Mordekaiser will conquer the land of both the living and the dead. And this is very interesting. Right now we don't know if the Shadow Isles is commanded by anyone. We know that the Ruined King accidentally created the Black Mist, and the Black Mist kinda consumed everyone. But all the dead souls on the Shadow Isles are very chaotic right now. As far as we know, there is no singular mind that could control them all. And I think Mordekaiser will try to do that. Karthus has the ability to lead some of the undead, and Thresh has the ability to simply own their souls. But I think Mordekaiser will be the one who will step up and he will try to unite the Shadow Isle so he can bring back his old glory. Remember, in life, Mordekaiser was an unstoppable warlord. I think he will try to be a warlord in his death as well. But that's pretty much it for Mordekaiser. Not a lot of new information, but it is interesting that there is some twists. Now, let's move on to the next one, which is going to be really big. The next reveal is another champion. It is the next AD Assassin. So, let's jump into the image first. There is a lot of stuff happening here, so first of all, that is a Hextech tank gathering wood. Now, Hextech is something that not a lot of people can afford. Only the richest of the richest can construct massive Hextech tools. So this is likely some kind of a doing of a really rich Piltover family, or some kind of Zonaite Baron. Now, as you can see, usually when we have a look at jungles, the people in the jungle are Vastaya, but that is not the case here. You can see that all of them look normal, which is a really big surprise. Native people in jungles are really rare. But the reason why it is rare is because Riot revealed that we are getting a new nation. This has never happened before, but yes, we are getting a new nation on the map. Specifically, it says that this champion's arrival will send us deep into the jungles of Runeterra, where a brand new faction, hidden from the rest of the world, will reveal itself. Because the post mentioned jungles, it is likely going to be in the Kumungu jungles, which is a place east of Shurima where we didn't really have anything happening there. So it makes sense that a new nation will pop up there. But the interesting thing is that we don't know if the new champion will be part of that nation, or if that champion was sent into those jungles. Theoretically, from this image, it could be both ways. Either the champion is one of these people hanging out on the branch, or the champion is part of the tank. What if it is someone from Piltover who was sent into the Kumungu jungles to gather wood? There is no real way of telling right now, but it can be both ways. Now, if I had to bet on something, I would bet on the champion being one of these guys. I think the tank is just a setup for world building. And especially since the post mentions that the champion will use the environment against its enemies, it is most likely going to be one of these guys. Super quick prediction, the post says that you need to stay away from the walls. I think the champion will use some kind of camouflage like Predator, and you'll get stunned or damaged when you get near the walls where he is camouflaged. Anyway, this champion gets me excited because we are getting more nations. This means that later on we can also get the Arbor Mark, which is a nation between Demacia and Noxus. I am simply happy to see that the map is growing. Now let's move on to the next reveal, which is Pantheon. Now Pantheon is really interesting. First of all, they called him the last champion with pizza feet. Now if you play Pantheon, you know that he does not have pizza feet. He has giant's feet. His feet are bigger than his shoulders. Anyway, looking at the image, you may notice that he will get a new spear. But interestingly enough, that spear looks exactly like the symbols in Bard's teaser. Which makes sense because, you know, Targon. But you can also see that his helm might have a horn on it now. It could be just an artistic take on the classic Greek mohawk, but we can't really tell anything from this image now. What we do know is that Riot will integrate his shield into his gameplay. This makes sense because Pantheon was always a warrior who was able to use any tools in his fight. Anything he had was a weapon to him. So I really want to see Pantheon killing people with his shield. A cool detail is that in the past the emblem on his shield never made sense. Targon is using way different symbols, so the old Spartan A on his shield just doesn't make sense. So I wonder what the new shield design will be like. Something you may remember from one of our previous videos is that his cloak should look way different as well. His older short story revealed that his cloak should be made of stars, so the entire cape might look a little bit like Aurelian's tail. The battlefield in this image is probably just a random one. The last time we canonically saw Pantheon was when he dropped into Shurima, which is right next to Targon, so it makes sense he would be there. But from these banners and weapons you can't really tell anything. There is a lot of spears, so it might be Targon as well. But the super interesting information we got from this is that Pantheon will get a brand new lore. It shouldn't be changed entirely, or at least I hope it won't be. I really like the story of Atreus, but his new fleshed out story should be about a man fighting against the gods. So what I think will happen is that when Pantheon gets ascended, he will fight against the gods there. He will probably see that what the gods are doing is not entirely right, and maybe he might rebel against them. We didn't really get too much information on this, but there is something happening there. What's important is that we will get more information on the gods. So hopefully more stuff on Soraka and Bard, and probably also Zoe. Lastly, it is cool that they are embracing the falling star theme. His ultimate will likely turn him into a comet, and I can't wait for the new looks. Right now, let's be honest, he doesn't really look like a falling star. But that's it for Pantheon, so let's now have a look at the last teaser. This is the brand new AD carry. Now this teaser couldn't be more vague. The only thing we learned is that it is not going to be a traditional AD carry, which is something we heard like 3 times before already. But let's break down what is happening here. It is one of 2 things. Either the teaser is trying to misdirect us and the light is shooting the darkness, or the champion is using both light and the darkness as the weapon. What is interesting here is that the runes at the background are totally unique. I have never seen anything like that anywhere in the world, apart from one place. Shurima is using different runes. Ionia does not use sharp corners in their writing. The Kumungu jungles, we don't know what's there, so okay, it may be there as well. But what's most likely happening here is that we are not getting a champion from the Shadow Isles, but from the Blessed Isles. Now I know the Blessed Isles are gone, but we might get a champion that is locked beneath the Shadow Isles where the corruption didn't reach yet. If you have a look at these runes, they look exactly like the architecture on the Blessed Isles. Especially if you have a look at the library interior image. You can see the markings by the shadow on the floor. Also, if you have a look at the citizens of the Blessed Isles, you can see that one of the citizens has a square on his clothing. That square looks surprisingly close to this. The very last possibility is that it looks a little bit like Hextech runes. But I don't think this is in Piltover. I really believe that we are getting something from the Blessed Isles. This would make sense because Mordekaiser will likely set up the story of the Shadow Isles. But besides that, this teaser is really vague and we honestly didn't get anything more out of it. But because this was the last teaser on this roadmap, that is going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it because here we don't really break down the gameplay and mechanics, we have a look at the lore. And let me tell you, I said it many times before and I will again, the lore is really good. Riot needs to focus on game modes that will tie the lore into the game. That, in my opinion, is the future of League of Legends and I am glad to see that the lore is simply really awesome. So thank you guys for being here. There should be an update on PBE next week, so some of these things will be revealed there. But until then, thank you guys so much for being here. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thank you again. Hey, did you know that we have social media and Twitch where we talk about other League facts and stories? And did you know that we have neat mugs and shirts too? The links to all of that will be below. And as always, thank you, come again.